Scotland is the area of highest recruitment for the BNP. They aim to exploit the history of sectarianism between Catholic Republicans and Protestant loyalists. We can start by looking at the Glasgow Rangers battle hymn, the Billy Boys. Football fans think the song is about William of Orange, but in fact it is dedicated to Billy Fullerton, a black shirt commander who founded the gang, the Billy Boys. In 1926 they were hired to smash the general strike, for which they received certificates of merit from the Secretary of State. Fascism has been described as a razor in the hands of the class enemy, and in Glasgow in the 1920s it was literally true. Standing lives are more fashionable these days.
Fascism has a hold in Glasgow now, among a section of Glasgow youth. The Glasgow Rangers football club is a focus for that organising, and it's quite clear that within Ibrox now there is a cadre of fascist organisers who are using Rangers loyalist history as a touchstone to influence young Rangers supporters. This is where the Northern Nationalist and the British Nationalist newspapers are sold.
The fact that the BNP are standing in Clydesdale constituency disproves the notion that's generally held by the rest of the left that the BNP are just a racist party. The BNP use racism. Racism isn't a principle for the BNP. It's just a tactic that they throw out and use where applicable. In Clydesdale, there isn't much sign of any ethnic minorities. Right? There's very few Asians, very few blacks, very few Chinese people. Right? There's no definite targets. However, what there is a large orange loyalist population. What they intend to achieve is to build on the bigotry that's already there. Loyalism is a parochial version of fascism anyway. It's based on the idea that there's a Protestant ascendancy, that Catholics are second-class citizens. You know, it's a transferal of Ulster to Scotland, right? And the BNP, they don't want a race war, right? What they want is a sectarian war in Scotland, because the race war politics, they know as well as we do that race war politics won't work up here. They have to use another tactic, right? And the tactic is sectarianism and whipping up the Orangemen, whipping up the loyalists and building on what's there. In other words, what they intend to do is try and broaden the horizons of the localised version of fascism and turn it into the British National Party's version of fascism, for the Papish conspiracy of the loyalists to the Jewish conspiracy of the BNP. The young loyalist Rangers fans who are impressed by the loyalist paramilitaries, right, can then be equally impressed with the BNP, given the links that are being developed, the duality of membership and stuff like that, right, and they can clearly stand as the spokespersons of the UVF in Scotland. Right, it's no accident that the Scottish BNP banner at their national rally was alongside the YCV UVF banner, the YCV being the youth wing of the UVF.
I was a member of the Orange Order in Scotland for 15 years. I was a substitute master in an Orange Lodge, district of Glasgow. From being a member of the Orange Order, I became involved in loyalist politics, selling Ulster Defence Association magazines, things like that. I was involved in a flute band as well, went to Belfast every year. And through being involved in that aspect, it was like being anti-Catholic, anti-IRA, you know. But I came up against a problem when I received literature from like the UDA, which was like a magazine called the South African Patriot, which was a racist South African magazine, keep swimming pools white and things like that, which I was quite disturbed about, because although I regarded myself as being a loyalist, I wasn't interested in the racial politics or aspects, National Front, etc. So I was unhappy about that, and I complained about it. They stopped, but just before they stopped, I actually received literature from the Federation of Conservative Students, which was a magazine called The Unionist, which was that had things like Bring Back the B Special, Support the Contras in Nicaragua, Support UNITA, all the sort of right-wing groups around the world. I wasn't interested in the Conservative Party, having just became unemployed and everything else, and then I hated the Tories as much as everybody else.
Due to the activities of the militant anti-fascists, the extreme right has not been able to operate in Manchester for a decade. They've been forced to confine their activities to surrounding towns like Rochdale. AFA has followed them. By leafleting white estates, we seek to cut off their supply of recruits at source, by showing that though many of their supporters are poor themselves, they are the enemies of the poor.
It was when the stickers had actually started to go up, and one of the candidates for the BNP was standing for election. We live in a council area now, and a new family had moved in, a white family, and it was a young girl, I think, of 14. She used to go around to the Asian homes at night and throw bricks through the bedroom windows. There was a group of young people who lived nearby who were openly racist. Now they'd come nightfall, they'd come round and smash in windows, throw things through the letterbox. When we'd go out, there'd be verbal abuse. So we decided to call in the police. Now they said they couldn't do anything. I don't agree with violence, but if there's no other way, then you need to.
For many people, the consequences are far more serious. In Newham, an East London borough, a black family remembered another victim, beaten to death a couple of months ago in an unprovoked attack. Even police figures show that in this part of East London, racist attacks have risen by 99% over the last year.